proving that I am less coherent somehow, sober and awake, than I am tired and drunk. Welcome to a bit of a special stream tonight. We've got the King versus Riggs of the herd, as we see Becca Kingdon up against some random from the group that I don't know, but apparently it's going to be a good race. Will it be King versus Riggs, or will it in fact be more like that scene in Batman versus Superman where Becca comes in like Wonder Woman and just kicks both their asses? It's a great route up again. We've also got her director sportive, James Bailey, riding today, so we'll keep an eye out to how he does. But here we go, 10 seconds to go, and we'll kick off on what's quite a tough start, actually. Bit of a slow drag up to the out of the pens, and there's a bit of a separator in the race I did this morning, and let's go. So Tim and Becca next to each other. Hey Craig, and sorry, joining me today, as you've heard there, we have Craig Martin, who normally just runs the tech, so forgive him if he's distracted doing some other things. Craig, how are you doing? So yeah, tough start already. Becca at over 5 watts per kilogram, and as we say, it's the Herd Beginner Racing League that we're doing this winter. This is more that it's an open category classification. There are going to be some people like Becca who could do frankly frightening watts per kilogram on the front, and there's going to be some people who are, shall we say, a bit bigger boned and prefer to sit at 1 to 2 watts per kilogram. But because it's open category racing, I like to think that we can get a bit of something for everyone. Here in the front group, there are some big names from the herd. We've got Victor from the Flatties, Dominic Liesels, some big engines here, Simon Esther from the Hogs as well. And I just saw James just poking his head near the front 20. Can't see Tim at the moment, Craig, if you've got an eye on him. Yeah, some big riders here, and this point here was where the first separation happened in the ride I did this morning. You can see a small gap happening, so slightly further back. Everyone's strung out by that long drag. But if you can maintain in the front group, it's worth burning a match to get over the hill there and stay in this front group, because it really will help you when it comes to the volcano. Becca actually showing up in first place on my screen at the moment. I can't believe she's actually doing that, because she is very good at what we know as bowsering, which is sitting in the group and not trying to expend any more energy than you absolutely have to, and preferably doing that in the last wheel and expending minimum energy. But can see a few people beginning to ramp it up at the front. I'm not too sure if we've got a big presence from OTR today. They tend to be the main agitators in these herd races, don't they? As some of them go on the front and do frankly silly watts to try and split things up. Where is Tim now, Greg? And it's times like these where I wish Zwift would worry a lot less about rowing and steering on bikes. And actually, a great bit of functionality here would be the ability to kind of add a custom flag, wouldn't it, in game? So Becca could have on her screen a custom flag pointing at Tim, so she can mark that rival really closely, and you don't have to rely on what can sometimes be quite a small UI feature on the right-hand side. So what's going to happen today, we're going to go round and through the volcano. There's a couple of little kickers where a few cheeky people will just bump up the watts, hoping to throw anyone who's tiring off the back of the group. But I don't imagine that's going to pose a problem for Becca or Tim. We'll go round the volcano bottom route once, in what is an insanely long lead-in, which I didn't notice last night, but noticed today riding it. So we'll go through the archway in the volcano. Good chance for any riders to pick up a power-up if they haven't got a suitable one at the moment. And then the second time round, we will kick left and go up the Volcano KOM, which is, for us mere mortals, around an 8-minute climb, 9-minute climb, depending on how we're doing. I think I did 8:20 today. with some fellow chaps from the herd as well, or pacing each other up there nicely. Becca's probably going to do it in about 95 seconds, and I hope James will do. I think he'll be targeting sub 8 minutes today, and I think he's still in this front group as well, which is good news for James Bailey. Craig, Tim, I presume, still in the group as we cruise around. I can see some good herd riders in here. So Shifty Gardner in this group as well. Great riding from Shifty there to stay in the group. Seeing a few people lagging off the back there. So a few. It looks like the elastic is stretching. And is that James Bailey? Is that James Bailey a second off the back? I know we're here to watch Becca, but I think James Bailey has sadly just been dropped. It's gutting for James. He was riding so well in this group and riding strong. How are you calling this today, Craig? We've obviously got two great riders up in Becca and Tim, and they've been competing throughout this series, kind of very similar results if you look back at them, and obviously decided to go head-to-head today because why not? It's fun chasing pixels that you know rather than pixels that you don't know, isn't it? How are you calling it? Yeah, exactly, and she's doing a good job bouncing at the moment. Now she's doing a classic bowser move here, which is seeing some riders just who've slowed down a little bit, and she just casually cranks up the watts to 6.7 just to get back on the tail end of this blob. And this is a bit of a kicker here, and this is actually where we'll finish today. We'll be up to this archway here as we go through it for the first time. That little ramp there could be decisive. So I think actually if it comes down to a sprint, it is probably one for the longer sprinters. If you can go from 400 or 500 metres and maintain your power up that ramp, I think you've got a good chance of jumping the people in front of you. As you say though, Craig, it's a great leveller in the climb. Observations from last night and also this morning's ride with the Volcano KOM is that it's quite flat in places, surprisingly. So you can draft. I think it's important to try and keep the watts up on those flatter sections and not let people catch. If I was a rider anywhere near the calibre of Becca, I think I'd be trying to conserve as much as I could for the first 2/3 of the climb, knowing that I think the final third of the climb has some pretty steep sections in it, and there's a chance that if I go absolutely nuts there, I could drop people. Either that, or if I see someone attack early and Tim get gapped, I'm gonna do everything to get with that attack that's gapped Tim. How would you be writing this though, Craig? You're a lot stronger than me on this sort of climb. Yeah, exactly. There is a real watts per kilogram advantage here. So Becca weighing only one Becca, so being quite a light rider, is going to have an advantage on the steeper bits where it becomes more about watts per kilogram that you can put out rather than pure watts. And I suspect Tim will have a slight advantage on the flatter bits where he's probably able to do a few more watts. So yeah, it could be very close between them, but it's all very kind of even at the moment, and as we expected actually. I think we've seen the sorting out. We've got the cream has risen to the top. We've got the best 25 riders in today's race at the front, and some good names here. I can see Dominic still in the group. I can see Victor from the Platties still in the group. A couple of OTR riders, obviously Becca. I believe Tim's still in the group as well. So this is a good, strong group of riders. Craig, if you want to just talk randomly for a bit, I'm going to find out how James Bailey's doing. Yeah, this is where we're sort of starting to ramp up, and I was starting to worry about making sure I've got my gearing right, getting that cadence high, not being in a silly place in the group at this point, because you don't want a little gap to appear and have to invest a bit too much effort closing a gap within the group. You want to be near the front of the group, ready to draft the people on the front. Just checked in with James. He's in 48th. It looks like he's in the second group on the road. I can see on my companion app what looks to be a rider well in front. Although, no, I believe that's a solo rider just finishing their first lap around the volcano. So it wasn't somebody doing what some would describe as a suicidal attack, and I would describe as panache, just a loose rider. We've seen somebody gapped off the back. That's an odd place to somebody drop off the bunch there. But now here we are. We're just about to hit the COM line, or have we just passed the COM line? I believe. But here we go. So 4%. Here we are. A plea from an ATP rider there that we just do 4.0 watts per kilogram. I'd have loved to have done that earlier. I think I managed about 3.7 myself. So, but it's all fairly steady at the moment. I think people are aware this is a 6-minute climb. So, I mean, Craig, you run 800 meters and things like that. So, with those longer runs and longer cycles, how much does pacing it come into this sort of climb? Yeah, exactly. I think that kind of, again, looking at the running analogy, they always talk about the 400 meters being, in some ways, the hardest race because you just have to sprint that, and that's about, well, for a good 400-meter runner, we're talking sub 60 seconds. So I think it's quite comparable on Zwift. Kind of, we see the people who've got the really good 1-minute power are kind of big beast puncher sprinters, and actually this is more of a, as we say, it's a 6-minute climb, 7-minute climb for the top riders here. It's going to be about a 5-minute power. I think you are into pacing, and it looks like Becca's done just that at the moment. She's settled down to a pace of 7 watts per kilogram. He says she's around 6 watts a kilogram, just pedaling in this line. Where's Tim at this moment? I can't see him on my screen, Craig. Yeah, I can see him there. Although Becca's just hit the front. Here she goes. Is this an attack from Becca? Oh no, Watts dropping back. I think that's just her carrying a bit more speed through. I think she's just asked if we can slow down. Yeah. So obviously, and Tim has replied deal. So obviously, not doing her all-out effort if she can still type on the keyboard there, Becca. So yeah, it's an interesting. Right, I mean, like I say, there's some big game names here. I recognise Højgaard. I'm gonna go with Danish. Right, I can't see the flags because my eyes aren't good enough. I recognise him from the front of some of these riders. Bishop from the ATR as well there. As we've mentioned already, Dominic from the herd, and I think Victor also from the herd, both in this group. So that's the first little kind of preliminary battles done. We go through the volcano. Now at 0%, bit of a chance to ease off. What would you be thinking now, Craig? Yeah, and it's an interesting one with bike choice today. As we were discussing on the feed last night, it is a shit descent, and we basically, if you're a light rider, I think the threshold is around the kind of 70 kilo mark. It's very hard to super tuck unless you put quite a lot of effort into getting the speed up, and you don't carry the speed through the kind of flatter sections on the descent in the same way that some of the heavier riders do. So that could be a bit of a disadvantage to Becca. She's gone with the pink Tron. Obviously, it's the fastest of all Trons because it's the pink one. And I see Tim, I believe, it looks like he's gone on a slightly off pink Tron, so maybe not getting the same watts advantage as Becca from the Tron there. But would you have gone, as a lighter rider, Craig, would you have considered going for your best aero setup on today's course, knowing it's actually quite flat and you'll get a good advantage on the descent? I know. Well, and as you say, I think with a lot of these discussions, it comes down to seconds. So I'd just go with what looks cooler. So Becca in the front. A little effort here from Mattia, the French rider, and I could see Becca a minute ago was on Victor's wheel from the Platties as well. So I don't know if they've had a bit of an entente cordiale there as Victor's decided to give Becca a wheel. I can't see Tim though. Oh, I can. He's sort of 10th wheel, so I think he's hanging on the back. I don't know if that means he's just hanging on to the back of this group or whether Becca's a bit stronger, but we're getting into the toasty part of the climb now, aren't we, Greg? Yeah, this is a big effort, and I can see Victor from the Platties has gone out into first place. I think he is giving Becker a bit of a hand here because you wouldn't be going into first place at this point. We're coming into one of those flatter sections now, I believe. I think after we go over this ridge, it will just even out a bit. So, chance to kind of, although you've got to keep the watts up, it's probably a little bit easier. Chance to catch your breath. But oh no, we're sorry, I've got lost on the climb here. We're actually coming around the final corner to the KOM banner. Okay, I don't think there's really much scope for an attack here because this descent is so long. 5 seconds over the top. If you're not in a blob, you're going to get eaten up. And you can just see a rider that's dropped off the back. Andraccio, the Italian, 2 seconds back here, and Bradar from ATP a second back. But I think Becca's dropped a feather on the 10%. She's going for the attack. Can anyone come with her? That's the question. Where's Tim at this point? It's Tim. It is Tim alongside her, isn't it? He's got the polka dot gloves on. He's obviously gone with his best climbing gloves for today's course, and they are literally neck and neck on the climb. So here we go. Tim just taking the front wheel. Becca doing exactly the right thing. Sits on his wheel for this descent, Becca. And we're going to see what happens as Becca takes the KOM journey. And look at those times. It's virtually inseparable. We've got Tim on 6 minutes 19.1, Becca on 6 minutes 19.3. 2 great climbs there, and separated by 0.2 of a second. So they really are marking each other, and they're in a group of 3 now. They have dropped a few of the other riders from behind. So could this be? What do you think, Greg? How are you calling it? Is it this 3 to the line? Yeah, and it's genuinely interesting now, isn't it? We have got an OTR teammate with Tim, so obviously the goal for Tim is win the race. So I don't know how much the team tactics is going to come into it. If we were just looking for an OTR rider to win, then you'd think they'd alternate attacks and just go for it. But I think with the teammates, if I was him, I'd stick him on the front. I'd do no work. I'd sit there with Becca and I'd probably back myself to sprint. Oh, but it looks like they've gone for a descent attack at the moment. Oh no, come on, Becca, come on, you can close this. There she goes. It looks like they're going for a bit of a descent attack. Yeah, Bishop dropping his watts completely. I think that was a bit of a sneaky attempt at a sticky watts there, wasn't it? Or sticky draft even. Becca not having any of that, blows past them into the super tuck, drops a truck to help her in this ride a bit, and off to Tim again. So, Craig, what are we thinking here? It's getting exciting, isn't it? And let's be clear. I'm not being critical as that as a tactic. It's true to normal bike racing as well. If you had the lead out man falling backwards through a sprint finish, or the lead out woman falling backwards through a sprint finish, often gets in the way of the other sprinters. So if you're not positioned well, that can be a problem. Looks like Bishop, the OTR rider, is trying to make an effort to close back to these two. They'd see if he can help his teammate out. Tim putting some strong digs in here. This is brutal, isn't it, Craig? They literally are punching each other in the legs on the descent, which I really hadn't expected. I thought Tim would sit on the descent, sit on Becca's wheel, and probably back himself in a sprint finish. But there's been some great attacks here. Yeah, he's gone again, hasn't he? Gone again, looking for the super tuck over that little ramp. Becker again having none of it, shutting him down. I imagine from our feeds that's angry Becker stamping on the pedals, and we know from the Zwift Racing League on a Tuesday how fast angry Becker can go. She had an A&T dropout the week we did Yorkshire and did some frankly frightening times on her own up the KOM there, didn't she? And this is what all of our, let's say, 100 fans would have wanted to see today. We've got the two feature riders, not quite mano a mano, is it? Mano, I'm not sure what the phrase is, against each other, both super tucks, both having a breather. Tim begging Becker to slow down at this point, but it's the first two riders. There's some good banter happening. Becker's telling him to slow down first. But they're setting this up, aren't they, for this sprint finish as we come into the sort of final few bends. I don't think that's an attack from Becker. I think that's just her making sure she stays on the wheel. And I think Becker's actually sitting on his wheel and saying, look, I'm going to try and beat you in that little kick to the finish line. Craig, go on. How are you calling this? Yeah, I've not seen Tim use a power-up. I don't know if you noticed him using a power-up on the descent. Obviously, Becker used her truck on the descent, so I don't think Becker started with a power-up. And, well, it'd be a shame if that was the deciding factor, wouldn't it? I know that's part of the tactics of Zwift, but it would just be great to see them go up against each other with no power-ups. Interesting group of three riders behind. Jaffier, Højgaard and Bishop probably coming together, pushing some quite big watts. So the three riders behind might close up on this flatter section. And our two might become a five, so could see some disruption happening if those three riders catch up. Do you think, Craig? We're just hitting that final ramp. We're just about to hit that final ramp. The Zwift has changed view. Becker dropping some watts here. Tim sitting on a wheel. This is the final ramp through into the volcano now, isn't it? Do we think Tim's got a power up? And again, Zwift has changed view, so I can see Tim's just pulled ahead of Becker there slightly. Becker stamping on those pedals up to 9.5 watts per kilogram. Tim's still at 3.7, so he's not started his sprint yet. I think you're right, Craig. I think they have taken large chunks out of each other. Tim now sitting at 4 and a bit, Becker at 3. As they come into this final bit, and we come into view, this is the little kink, the little left bend here, this is where the road ramps up, and this is where you're going to have to time your sprint. There's 200 metres to go pretty much from this point, so it is just go, 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 all out on this bit. Tim's kicked his sprint off, hitting 9, Becker hitting 7 there. Has she got the response? She's kicking, here she goes, 10 watts per kilogram. Can Tim hold this to the line? And he just does, by 1 second, just holds it to the line. That's it. That is an absolutely fantastic race. Becker resplendent in her Volcano jersey as she now across the line. But great race, and great riding by both of those two. And what an effort, Craig? Mm. Well, that was very exciting, and as James would always do, we'd advertise some of our events that come up in the week, but do go check out the Herd Racing League pages, or the Herd pages if you're looking for some more social rides where people can chat bicycles and baking and many other things that also begin with B. But thanks to anyone who's joined us and for listening to my dulcet tones, and as ever, Craig, thanks for putting the stream together.